Draft 1 for guided meditation, invoking innocence through love. The whole purpose behind this meditation is to reconnect with the innocence of childhood through love. Why? Because when we were kids, when we were innocent, everything was enjoyable, everything was magical, right? And so it didn't matter what people said or thought about us, what people tried to make us believe. We knew we were right. We knew we were open enough to see and deal with various things when we were children. And so when we invite these things back to us in whatever way we desire, at whatever pace, I will suggest asking for these things to happen with ease and grace. We tap into that innocence, and we start wanting to shed all the distortion of the collective energies. And yes, we were in the darkness. Yes, we were meant to explore the depths for giving information back to source, learning things for ourselves, evolving in many different ways, physically, mentally, and spiritually. But there comes a time when you ask yourself, why can't I be that happy? Or I wish I was a kid again, or whatever it is, to bring that happiness back, because your goal is to be happy. Well, if you relearn how to enjoy absolutely everything and start choosing a different path that you may be stagnant in, whatever it is, you start changing little things here and there, shedding little things here and there, asking for purification so you can once again be worthy of that happiness and innocence, right? And so just learning what the boundaries are all along that path. This meditation can help us to slow down and to allow and to trust these energies to help us evolve in ways that we truly desire deep down, not in what we think might make us happy. Or if you do want more money and you are happy, then this will help that as well. Or if you want to fall in love, but you're happy but you want to fall in love, well, maybe you need to fall in love with yourself first, right? And think of things that way. These are very interesting things that I, as a man, have been able to come across, and have had to put a lot of things on hold in order to reconnect with my feminine side, which has allowed me to, over the past 7-8 years now, embrace my inner power and be freed of collective programming, belief systems, what have you. So really, to start, you can take a few breaths, center yourself, get into a place where you feel relaxed, you feel comfortable, or you just allow the meditation to relax you, because I noticed there's 2 parts to the meditation. Part 1 is, general, clearing out the heavy stuff, basically, aligning, trusting. And then part 2 is for, I guess you could say, the more advanced, subtle spiritual energies, right? You end with letting the spirit lead through your heart with love. And for me, when I was inspired to actually record this conversation and take notes on it, which is what this is, I was doing laundry, and I was like, well, let part 1 be an integration. I'll go switch my laundry, do whatever I need to do, make sure I stay in a good, calm, gentle energy. And I believe the meditation energy helped me even do my laundry to a sort of masterful level, because getting 2 loads of laundry done in these crappy washers and dryers is here, or this washer and dryer here is not exactly easy unless you really pay attention to it. So I divided the energy of the clothes, and both came out dry on the first dry cycle. So I didn't have to spend more money, drying my clothes. Of which I'll add, I blessed a palm full of water and threw it into the washing machine since it's a shared washer. And I'll charge the water with good intention to clear out any energies that may be harmful or whatever, so anyway, start with a few breaths or allow yourself to become relaxed through the meditation, but start with opening the crown, allowing light from the central sun to come in through the crown and open the crown for healing, purification, and then bringing that light down. And as you're doing this, every exhale you're releasing things that do not serve, but at first it's any energies that are harmful, that may have attached themselves or itself to you, and you want to clean that out with the first introduction of the light. And so we open the crown to allow the light in. We bring that light down through each chakra as we're breathing, right? But we start pulling the light from the crown down to the heart to anchor into the amazing, large force field of the heart, to clear out anything in the heart, and also to anchor that light energy into the heart, which a lot of practitioners do and ask for, during their guided meditations. So I picked that up, and I like that. And as I was going, I was like thinking 3 points of contact: crown, heart, root chakra, right? Because we need to then move the light through the heart down to the fire of the earth to ground us, and then basically start again at the root chakra, clearing out any energies that may not serve us, any old programming, anything, fear, suffering. I mentioned that, lack of trust, lack itself, mentality, belief systems, all that stuff has been and was mentioned in the meditation. So, and what we're doing is we're grounding the light of the central sun through the open crown to the heart, or we're anchoring it, not grounding, anchoring that energy to the heart, and then we're bringing the light down to the fire of the earth, and then bringing that energy up to ground us through the root chakra, and then allow that to come up to the sacral. And as I was doing that, I was having my left palm open for energy receiving and light receiving, and my right palm was, on my heart to start, and then moved to like my sacral root area as I was cleansing that, with the light being anchored from the earth. And so you just bring that up and start at the root, the sacral solar plexus, and then you're anchoring and also pulling that grounding energy from the earth to the heart, anchoring to the heart. That way you're getting grounding energy at the root chakra, at the bottommost part of your being, and then you are anchoring that in the sun, and you're unifying the fire of the central sun, the earth, with the open crown into your heart. You're joining at 3 different points, which 3 is, a very spiritual, important spiritual number to remember and to apply to the method through whatever knowledge you like. And then I moved that light. Actually, I believe that was part 1, where I needed to go flip the laundry or whatever it was. And so this meditation also allows you to move around. It's really good for people who are busy. Um, but, try to make it a day where it's like a laundry Sunday or whatever, or a laundry Saturday, however you want to do it. Um, and you're just kind of doing things around the house and you're giving it time. What I liked about having this meditation broken up into parts was you're giving it time to integrate. I used and intended for the light and the clearing and all that connection, all that unifying intention to integrate as I was going out and then coming back. So, that was really, really cool. And I liked how this was and I was inspired by it, how I did this meditation today. And there's a lot of wonderful things that happened today in the midst of all of this. And I got everything done I needed to get done at the house too, right? Or my room. I call it my house, my home, whatever, wherever I lay my head, right? And so, coming back to part 2, where we're basically starting at the heart again, and we're, pulling off energies we may have picked up at the bank, because I did go to the bank, but I didn't go in the bank. I did a deposit to my landlord's account through the video ATM, which was super obviously helpful, and that was cool. And the diesel truck that pulled behind me actually turned their truck off to where I didn't have to yell over it, because initially I was like, oh man, this is going to be loud. I'm going to have to yell and to get this transaction done. And how I was guided through it was like so much easier, because I was asking questions and I was being playful too, right? Because generally people are pretty happy on the other end, So anyway, that worked out well. Came back, started in the heart, asked the crown to open back up, because I didn't even say it, but closing the crown for protection at the end of the meditation is key. And I also added during every chakra, as I move to the next chakra, for that chakra that is now aligned, now that the root chakra is aligned, however you want to say it, may it hold the light. May it hold the light, because you're purging a lot of energy out. You don't want to lose any light, so to speak, or you're just intending to hold the light in those chakras as you move throughout your day. And so you do that, and it's wonderful. So this also came to me through a pretty strenuous hike, 3 miles up a mountain to the day before, and I just was very intentional with my day there too, and just being in awe of the beauty and just the being engulfed by these massive mountains, and being in awe and just very surprised and delighted with the happenstance, happy accident I'll call it, that got me up the mountain. So there's more details to that if you're interested. But anyway, so I continued obviously at the heart, asked the heart to clear out any energies I may have picked up from driving at the bank, whatever. My own energies that sometimes I get myself in this cringy sort of attitude where I'm like, I'm gonna have to deal with these drivers out here. I'm gonna have to do this, that. And I was just like trying to drive really just don't worry about everybody else and their energy. Hold your energy and welcome them into your space, and allow whatever to happen without any reactions, right? That's important. That's key. So then as we're, purging that energy again, and then we're, clearing out anything that doesn't serve us in the heart again, we're remembering that we're going to move and open to the throat chakra, then allow the heart energy that's evolved, sort of merge its energy, its new aligned energy to the throat chakra. Remembering that our ears and eyes are a part of that throat chakra. I would say that the eyes, physical eyes, that is probably connected to the third eye too, in a way. But I would say more throat, because you're kind of like expressing or allowing expression to enter through your eyes and listening through your ears any expressions of the outward, well, the universe, right? The other person, whoever, whatever it might be, whatever the situation is that's trying to guide you. As the ego tries to resist, I was guided to also, you know, be like, chill out, ego, why do you need to micromanage, And then right in that instant, I was like, man, we can easily forget what our goal is or what we can get out of a happenstance or a happy accident or whatever that doesn't really strike us comfortably, which a lot of things don't strike the ego comfortably, right? So I was like, why don't you just stop? I just having this conversation with my ego. I was like, why don't you just stop micromanaging things? And then it just shot back with some cocky comment, which I'm used to that, right? Because I know my ego. I've been in my ego a lot, coming out of the collective. And so I just had this conversation. I was like, thank you for the protection, but, let's evolve the ego. Let's not be so quick to react, and to think these negative things, and remind the ego that we control our reality. So we can tell the ego to settle down and say, this is not what's happening. Let's not fear that. This is what's happening. Let's trust that. Choose trust of something good happening rather than reacting and fearing something else, right? Because the fear is the control, which comes from the collective, and we get programmed from the collective to fear things, many different things. So when we tell our ego, hey, it's not that's not what's happening, let's do this. Oh, well, this happens, it's happened out there. Yeah, of course it has happened out there to people who are not aware, who just live in fear, and they create fear with their mind. And it's just like, remember that mind is over matter, and choose different thoughts. Choose to see the good in things, and also be patient, and maybe be angry, but don't, harm others. Like, let yourself get through that process of releasing that anger and knowing that you have triggers and working through them, right? So I was thinking of all this while I was doing the meditation. I was like, let's remember these things. And so I allowed the, meditation to be part of my day. So as we open the heart into the throat chakra, I was like, okay, now we have to express our desires, and we have to be clear with what we want from the universe. And we have to remember that the universe is going to be like, well, what kind of food do you want? What source of money do you need? Do you want, like, perks? Do you want cash? Do you want your stocks to go up? Do you want to pick, where's it going to come from, right? Maybe it's more time to allow you to work on something that's going to bring in more income, whatever it is. You're a vessel, you're a kind of a tool down here for your own spirit, and it feels good when it does work. Or you could call it, when you do the exercising, so to speak, of your desires. And so we have to remember that, any negative self-talk, profane language, even if it's addictive, that's not innocent energy, or maybe we can shed denouncing some of the profane language to accept it as bad and see it as just innocent whatever. Like, it just depends on your crowd, right? I guess. And yeah, it's just quite interesting. So my goal with the throat chakra, yes, was to, remember to choose, I guess, better words, that are more aligned with your heart's desires. If you want love, you want romance, you want money, you want all this stuff, like, you better be on your expressive game. You better be able to talk to people with kindness, love, compassion, and express your energy and allow your energy through your throat chakra to touch people and to hold space for people. I remember in the meditation reminding us, to be guided as to what to say and to pause and to not say anything and be patient and just hold space and listen. So, and I got to exercise that between phase 1 of part 2 meditation today, where I was talking to the neighbor over here, and it was amazing. It was a beautiful interaction. It was a wonderful interaction, and I'm like, man, as long as we keep things pure and innocent, then it's going to be great. So again, watch that fear, because you might end up making choices out of that fear to protect whatever it is. Maybe you need to accept something in yourself, that you're contemplating, and just play it out in your mind first. Try to feel into something before you decide to do something or whatever. Like, just play it out and choose, right? So all of that helps us express our energy, because, we're here to share amongst others and to try to find the light in other and to shine our light, unbridled, and so we can do that. But there's ways to do that, and there's ways to distort things and to come off, as harmful energy or what have you. Like, even though you're joking about saying something in whatever manner, like, you just got to be careful, what you say to others, because you don't know where their ears are tuned to. You don't know what frequency they're tuning to. If they're looking for something bad out of you, they're going to be listening for bad. And if that's what they want to hear and create in their reality, that's what they're going to hear from you. So you got to be really careful what you say. They'll even demonize the good things you're saying, or they'll connect. And that's the difference between the light and the dark. You'll know right away who's leading in that interaction or with these people. So as we move, through it, like I said, you start with removing the any energies that are in there that is not going to serve you, or like any energy you picked up. You clear that out. You breathe in more light, have it hold the light, and then open. And that, I believe, is a good time to stop. And especially, again, if it's laundry day, whatever day it is for you, you can then have that pause and just feel it, keep feeling into this meditation, and allow this meditation to be with you. That energy to be a part of everything that you do in your day, be a part of the meditation, so to speak. So, and then you come back to phase 3, I'll call it, because whatever phase it is of part 3, it's kind of goofy, but, you're left with the crown. You're left with the intention of bringing in new gifts, old gifts, expanding current gifts that you have, opening to any energies and insight that you need. Okay, so that's what happened. I skipped the third eye. That's what happened. So when I went to the third eye from the throat, that was phase 2, ending on the third eye. That's what it was. Because I was like washing 2 loads of laundry using timers, and the timer was going off, and I was finishing and letting it sit, whatever, until I was done to get to part 2 or part 3 of, or phase 2 or 3 of part 2. If that makes any sense to you. And so, yeah, the third eye, I was like, let's thank the third eye. Thank the third eye for, doing the best it can to lead us with our innate, intelligent intuition with all of the distortion that comes from the ego. That's where I was started to think about the ego. All the distortion that the ego can create with the third eye. Just making it more difficult for the third eye to, guide us in that. So, with that third eye, clearing of any energies or anything that's limiting, anything physical, like with some of the foods we find creeping in, or maybe whatever it is that could potentially be calcifying our pineal gland, you know, with intention to, breathe in 4 seconds as fully and as deeply. And 4 seconds is a short amount of time. Start with 4 seconds breathing in, take 4 seconds to breathe in fully, then you hold for 7 seconds, and then you exhale 8 seconds. That 4, 7, 8 is a universal number for creation, and we find it as a mathematical equation, I believe. I forget what it's called. Maybe it'll come to me. But some sort of Fibonacci frequency, something like that. I think it's the Fibonacci. But, and thank you, universe, because I'm not always good at these things. Thanking the third eye for the guidance it's giving us, and allowing gratefulness. Okay, yeah, with the throat, allowing gratefulness to come in and to be a part of something we can express, because that's going to be opening ourselves up to receive more from the universe in that gratefulness energy. Gratefulness is almost like innocence. It's like, it's pure energy, and it allows more enjoyment, to receive more. So, and it's really cool. So, yeah, and with the third eye being cleared of energy, we can trust our intuition a lot better. And sometimes it's a still small voice, as the Bible even has said. Listen to that still small voice that's like, I think maybe we want to do this. But you're only going to really hear that still small voice when you're in a slow, sort of relaxed state. It's too pure of an energy to be distorted with egoic reaction. You know what I mean? You got to get into a still place. And sometimes, people may not want to respect that in you, but they need to, and you need to hold your space and draw a boundary. Be like, I need a minute. I'm going to take a minute here. I'm not going to be rushed into this decision or rushed to respond, or maybe I just need to walk away because I now are feeling reactive, and any decision I make out of a reactive energy is just going to make this situation even worse, and I could potentially harm others, right? So, and they may not respect that, and they may not feel comfortable or good with that, but they will respect you in the end. Or those people can just, fade out behind you as you are journeying forward, right? So that was phase 2 of part 3, the third eye, from the heart to the third eye. Heart to the throat was phase 1, because the heart, again, is a huge energy center. It's even larger electromagnetically than the brain, and in various other ways, I believe. Then, of course, to be the crown, like I said, and sealing the crown every time you go out of your room or out of your sacred space, for the end of part 1 and the phases of part 2, I'll say. And I wonder what numerical, I'm going to welcome synchronicity it is that there is two parts, right? We could represent it as masculine and feminine coming together, you know. You can see it as union, unity, what have you, and then the three phases of part two, basically, allowing that time in between for integration. So that would be the numbers 2 and then 3, right? And then I imagine there could be, you know, phases in a meditation that you would do for like the body, mind, and soul. And maybe that's what that is for opening the heart to the throat and the throat to the third eye. Phase 1, body, which is the heart, right? And then the throat expressing, and then the third eye being the spiritual eye and the opening for the spirit to come through the crown. So keeping mind, body, and spirit, which I guess crown, you know, spirit being, crown being spirit, third eye being mind, and then the throat being the body. Maybe I'm like kind of channeling right now. I'm trying to listen, and so I appreciate your patience. But yeah, then the crown, you know, like I said, welcoming in the gifts and the spiritual spaciousness, really, to allow the kind of the mind from the third eye region, however you want to look at it, because I think the mind is going to encompass the third eye and the crown chakra, which then runs the whole system. It's, you know, and you're using your throat, even talking to yourself, because the vibrations from your voice are actually, of course, the perfect tone that you need to heal yourself. So people who talk to themselves are going to most likely be very confident, they're going to know themselves well, and they're going to feel most likely quite healthy, as long as they're given the time and the space and they have the right intentions. You know, because that might not be, you know, that original spirit that came into this world to light. You know, it might be, they may be talking as someone else or something else, and it could be, you know, unfortunately, I believe, you know, that people that have that going on are just bodies that are like, and spirits that are like, I just don't want to be here anymore, you know, allow some other, you know, energy to run this body. I'm only going to be a very small part of this body because I can't handle it anymore. You know, I think that's very possible. But anyway, you know, that kind of got a little dark there, but we just, you know, awareness of our own darkness, and that's where, you know, focusing on the root chakra for releasing a lot of things. That's why they're like, beware, you know, you're gonna have to face these things, but it's not going to be more than what you can handle. And it may be at times, and that's why you resist, but you have to keep going back, and with new knowledge, new wisdom, new guidance, starting fresh, you will expand, you will move forward, you will heal. Speaking of which, I did do a segment in the meditation for myself where I was holding, you know, my MCL and my elbow and doing some physical healing, however you're guided through the meditation. If you think it's fear that you're holding, you want to kind of, you know, I guess, you know, you put your healing hand, which should be your right hand because that's your giving hand, unless you're left-handed, then you might want to switch or use both. I think I ended up using both because I had to cover both areas, but I don't think it's too big of a deal, just again as you're guided. And this whole thing can just be a practice to get you back to where you want to be, not where you need to be or think you need to be, because you already are there. It's just remembering and welcoming and opening and trying to define, everything for yourself so you can understand yourself better and be like, oh, this is why I did that. This is why I did whatever, The more you can understand yourself, then the more forgiving you're going to be of yourself. And then you can release that energy and try to help others along the way that are maybe in, a similar situation that you've been in your life. And just, again, every chakra, holding in the light as you exhale for that last time, focusing on that chakra with those intentions to purify for innocence. Just ask and say, holding in the light, and just talk yourself through this process. I'm going to release this, I believe, on YouTube as a draft, and y'all can take notes. I'll probably, make this a little more formal and a little more easier and put it out. But I was definitely inspired and very grateful that I was given this sort of opportunity to allow myself to have the divine work through me and know that I am divine and a part of the divine plan, and develop a meditation that I know I've never experienced anyone guiding me before. Yes, using some platforms, or you could say tutelage from other people who I do meditations with regularly. But as you develop, you will know what's best for you, basically, and you will hopefully take, this and utilize it for yourself as well, and make changes as you are guided. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity to release this as a draft, and I feel like this is the easiest way I can do it in the shortest amount of time, and then have it for later, and not judge it for having long dramatic pauses or whatever the ego wants to create to try to throw someone off. So yeah, thank you for listening, and I hope this helps. It might take you a couple times to kind of get the structure of it, but it's basically part one is opening the crown, bringing in the light of the sun down through all the chakras, down to the earth, making that connection to the grounding energies of the earth, and then bringing that light up, starting in the root chakra, and then releasing any energies, and then removing anything that doesn't serve, that's already there, that's there from programming and things that are difficult to get rid of, habitual things we think all the time because we were taught this, or we seen that, or we learned something from seeing that, and then opening to move to the next chakra, and then, which is sacral, obviously. See, I'm already messing up. It's like, open the crown, anchor that light into the heart first, then the light down to the fire of the central earth, or the fire of earth, actually, and bringing that back up through the chakras to, again, anchor in the heart, ground and anchor to the heart. And then so that's part one. And then part two starts 3 phases. Phase one is, because you came back from laundry or whatever you did, because you want to give some time. That's why these are broken up into parts. So it was really neat how it ended up working out. You start at the heart to clear anything that you might have picked up doing your thing. And, same as the other chakras, removing any energies that are attached or stuck, breathing in the light to it, having the light hold in the chakra, and after obviously releasing everything that doesn't serve from the belief systems, whatever, programming from television, from whatever. And then, opening up the heart to the throat and expressing and knowing when to speak, to listen, the ears, using the eyes as receiving expression from the universe around. Also, the ears are doing that as well. And holding space for others, because that's very healing. They just need to get things out sometimes, and it's cool. And then you can share, obviously, with that opportunity out in your daily. If you have a neighbor during this meditation, you're integrating between part 2, phase 1, and being heart to throat, and then to the third eye, I think, being phase 2. Whatever you got to do, however many phases you need to break it up with. I'm just trying to remember all of it. And then phase 3, obviously, the crown, accepting the gifts, more spiritual guidance, more awareness, just anything and everything. And then the heart constantly being that electromagnetic field, because desire is a guidance in itself, to play out whatever part we need to find things out. And just remember that any alcohol or drug use or any kind of addiction, honestly, is just going to kind of make it more difficult for any of this stuff to work. But know that the more you do it, because it's a thing, that's why we're here. We're here to learn things in a slow pace, over an amount of time, So just remember that as you go, things will get better. Things will feel more difficult at times too. But if you love yourself enough, and that's what this all comes down to, you're doing all this because you love yourself. The more love will enter. You're making space for innocence, for more light, to hold light, to express your light, shine your light, whatever you want to think about it. And, and enjoy the process, because it does get so much better. And you can be proud of yourself every time you get up and you don't punish yourself if you fall. You can be proud of yourself every time you do your meditation and the wonderful things that came because you set time aside to do that for yourself. And you can do it just a slow day. Do your laundry, everything gets done, you get a nice meditation, you have some wonderful little experiences, and then you're kept safe in your bubble, right? And I highly recommend doing this like after a new hike somewhere where you've really just been able to tune into nature, where we're really getting quite grounded, and then that opens up to be a good foundation for the spirit to come down and just dwell within you. And so my best to you all. I'm here to inspire and to be inspired. So if you feel free to comment, then feel free to comment. And welcoming all of that and sending you all as much love as I possibly can with ease and grace. Thank you.